From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les Levine, it's a Monday night. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les Levine into our 23rd consecutive year. Seen simulcast right now on Spectrum Sports and, of course, cleveland.com. And from cleveland.com, the D-man, Dennis Manoloff, is here. What's the matter?
I'm real nervous, Les.
Why is
the
that?
simulcast, it's a worldwide audience now.
Worldwide audience.
My debut on the simulcast. So
well, I think you'll do all right. You've only been doing this for 15 years.
We'll see. We'll find out. I'm sure the audience will let us know.
So what's new?
Hey, another day, another Browns win.
What?
What do you say?
It's getting boring.
You know?
It's, you know something? I heard people complaining about Gregg Williams going for it on fourth down with a 3-point, with a, what do you have, a 1-point lead at the time. You have to do that.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with it, especially because it should have been 4th and inches. Not fourth and a long one.
Bad spot.
You take all that time to review. Yeah. You get a clear double picture melding to see that Njoku had gotten it to at least within an inch, and then they give him a full yard.
Okay, so on the other hand, I thought that that Denver did Cleveland a favor by kicking the field goal.
Oh, there's no question about it.
If I'm the Browns, I'm happy. And on the other, if I'm Denver when the Browns went for it, I'm happy also.
Yes, there's no question that Vance Joseph did the Browns a favor by kicking that field goal, and he's taking the heat for it.
He should
in Denver. Yes.
Well, it knocked them out of the playoffs. Unfortunately for the Browns, even though they won, they're just about knocked out by themselves.
Yeah,
but still, what a run this has been.
The Browns needed a bunch of dominoes to fall. They didn't really fall yesterday for the most part. I mean, the Dolphins lost, but the Colts won, the Titans won, the Steelers won, the Ravens won.
Not a lot of good things happened. As it turned out, Cleveland's best chance might have been to have Pittsburgh lose all three.
Oh, it was. It was the division. But here's the thing, Les. If you would have told us in August or even at the beginning of October that the Browns would still be mathematically alive heading into Week 16, we probably would have been laughed off the set or what have you, or we would have laughed that person off the set.
Well, let's take a look at our Facebook question of the day, and that question of the day is what's the biggest takeaway with the Browns' win over the Denver Broncos? Jeffrey Anderson says the biggest takeaway was Pepper's interception. I thought the sack was pretty darn good also on his part. Len Gold, the fact that they found a way to win on the road and in a game that their quarterback Baker Mayfield didn't play that well, right? What did you grade him at?
B- in the quarterback report. Well, yeah, he wasn't really all that good, and that's an encouraging sign for the Browns. They won a game in which he wasn't great. Gregory
Mees, it seems like Gregg Williams' toughness is rubbing off on his team. It's fun to watch the Browns. And Carl Brunstetter, the Browns did not play their best game, but were still able to win. That never happened in the past with the past so-called coach.
I second all of those, and let's not forget, it's not just a road game for this franchise. It's in Denver. And I'm not saying the players of today are bringing all the ghosts with them.
I'm not sure the players even knew.
Fair enough, but the fact is that the Browns had not beaten the Broncos since 1990, at least in Denver. So, and I think it's overall. I think that was their last win was in Denver in 1990.
Bud Carson was their coach of the Browns in 90.
I mean, that's a remarkable, even though they don't play him every year. But that's still a remarkable number that it wasn't since 90 that the Browns
well, part of that is they were gone for 3 years, so but still.
And they don't play. It's not a division team, but still,
West.
That's a tremendous victory for this team.
We welcome our viewers on cleveland.com. We're getting more and more as the days go on, and hopefully that will continue. You can check out MS&LL headlines for the day. Brought to you by Northfield Park, your home for live and simulcast racing. The Browns' chances nearly impossible now, but they're not totally eliminated. They need a couple of tie games in there, D-man, so that doesn't bode well. The Cavs are in Indianapolis tomorrow. Looked terrible against the Sixers yesterday. Mike Weber of Ohio State is going to enter the NFL draft. You surprised by that? He's going to play in the Rose Bowl.
I mean, not really surprised because he did. I think he's 9th. Is it ranked? 9th ranked running back.
It's not top 5. I know that.
You know, that's it. Especially if he had significant ties to Urban Meyer. You know, maybe he feels like he wants to move. But what I like is the Buckeyes wanting to play in the Rose Bowl, knowing this is the swan song for
absolutely win it for their coach, no question about it. 216-575-0403. You can also email us during the show at c-les.levine@charter.com. You can see that at the bottom of your screen. Dennis Manoloff of cleveland.com is with us. Bud Shaw tomorrow night. Don't know who's going to be here Wednesday, but Thursday night, Paul Hoynes will join us back from Las Vegas. and the little bit of action at the end of the winter meetings. What did you think? I mean, you look on paper, and we'll look at it a little later. It's not pretty.
Yeah, I mean, I can see what they're trying to do, what the Indians are trying to do: shed payroll, but stay atop the Central. I think they look at the Central landscape, and the only real competitor is going to be the White Sox. The question is, how soon are the White Sox going to be breathing down the Indians' necks?
Right. You think it'll be the White Sox before any of the other three?
There's no question in my mind. You could see it coming. You could see the young core. They need veterans now to augment that core. And I think depending on how much the White Sox, I know the Indians will never say this, but I think they're going to keep an eye on what the White Sox spend and acquire in the offseason via free agency to see exactly what they're dealing with in 19. Because if the White Sox don't substantially upgrade, then the Indians could say, you know what, we could still win the division, and it's the just get in mentality to the playoffs.
Maybe, but a little later when we show you the what's on the roster right now, when you look at the outfielders, you're going to wonder how they're going to be favored. Obviously, they're going to be favored in the Central because of the pitching situation, but not because of anything offensively. I know the exact guy they need for this lineup now. Michael Brantley,
where's number 23?
Right.
He's not walking back through that door.
Dr. Smooth apparently is
listen, he's going to get paid. It may take a little time.
Right.
You still have to see the Harpers and the Machados sign somewhere. I'm not saying they're directly tied to Brantley, but Brantley will get paid somewhere. It's not going to be Cleveland.
Machado could go to the team where his brother-in-law is. right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you have the Alonso Machado connection, obviously brother-in-law. So who knows? Whoever takes on Machado is going to have to deal with everything that comes with him.
Yeah.
You know, a worldly talent, but also mercurial.
Interesting. Mercurial, that's a good word to use on Machado. 216-575-0403 is the number. As you know, I'm the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Cleveland sports. D-Man, if you listen to Sports Talk Radio, and I'm part of it when I work at 92.3 The Fan, we hear about Gregg Williams from the fans who are making him out to be maybe as good as Vince Lombardi or somebody along those lines. Actually, he won a game Saturday night that probably he shouldn't, but the rest of the games fell in line. He's 4-2. He won the games he should have won and lost the games he probably should have lost. This is one chance. First of all, thank you on behalf of the Cleveland fans to Gregg Williams for what you're doing. Unfortunately, I don't think that he's going to be considered for the, well, he'll be considered. I just don't think he's going to get it. I got to believe that John Dorsey has a guy in mind and has wanted to work with him for a long time, and that guy is not Gregg Williams.
It's entirely possible you're right, Les. I can't remember if on this show last week I made the bold prediction that if the Browns beat Denver, Gregg Williams remains the coach because they beat the Bengals. There's no way they're losing to the Bengals after they beat the Broncos. That makes them 5-2. No worse than 5-3. I think that's enough to keep Williams. It was a bold prediction because I still think the odds are against it, as you point out.
Based on what I said?
Well, yeah, and I mean, it's hard to fault John Dorsey for not wanting to go or for wanting to go outside and get his guy.
Right.
Because now, finally, he's been given the autonomy to do it. You know, it seems like the Haslams have said, you can do it.
And the Haslams had no idea that Williams is going to go 4-2 in the first 6 games.
No, and I will say this, though. We always talk about Williams and Kitchens because we should. They're like a dynamic duo. I think the odds of Kitchens remaining are significantly higher than Gregg Williams, but it's going to depend on if John Dorsey hires, let's say, a Lincoln Riley type, an offensive mind, then that offensive-minded head coach is not going to want to inherit Kitchens, no matter how good Kitchens looks right now.
You think McCarthy is the odds-on favorite?
No, I wouldn't say he's the odds-on favorite. I mean, I don't know that Dorsey and McCarthy are
we don't know that.
Tied at the hip or joined at the hip.
We know they work together. That's all we know.
True, and I'll say this, too. Baker Mayfield, in my opinion, should have a say, okay? Because I know we often say, and we said it with LeBron, oh, we don't want LeBron being the GM, the coach, and all that, and the owner.
Yes, you did.
But yeah, I mean, what did it get us? What did it get Cleveland? 4 straight finals and a title. In the case of Mayfield, let's say Mayfield is so comfortable with Freddie Kitchens, and it looks like he is, but he says to Dorsey, or Dorsey solicits it, hey, I really, really think that we can take off together. What does Dorsey do then?
Well, yeah, that's a great point.
Because Dorsey's a former player.
Yeah.
So he knows, he understands the continuity element, especially if it's working like this.
Well, it's working, and generally when there's a coaching change, somebody comes in and cleans house and does all kinds of things. You don't have to do that here. There's some little things to do, but you don't have to clean house for a new coach.
No, and I'll say this. The candidate to me that would not clean house is Bruce Arians.
Right.
If you bring Arians in, your DC is Gregg Williams, assuming he wants to remain because I can think of a couple teams out there that are taking note of what Gregg Williams is doing, okay?
Yep.
I mean, I don't know what Jacksonville's status is with Marone, whether they like him or they don't.
I would like to see, if you saw Arians as head coach, keep Gregg Williams, keep Kitchens, and let's
well, there
start
you
the
go.
season.
I mean, that's the scenario where I think they both stay. The question is, would Gregg Williams do that? Because he's gotten, he's getting a taste of head coaching again, and he's succeeding, and he's getting up there. He's not a young buck, so does he want to acquiesce that way?
You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/More Sports and Les Levine with new content posted each and every day. Join us on Facebook. Join us on cleveland.com. We'll be back in a moment with Dennis Manoloff.
There is a place where dreams arise, stars are born, and greatness is made. What you live for lives here. Spectrum Sports.
Introducing Lizard Cam, the new micro camera that goes anywhere you can't see. With an extra long flexible cable, you can inspect anywhere. The powerful light illuminates even the darkest areas behind your walls. It comes with a hook tip so you can retrieve fallen jewelry down a sink. Plus, it's waterproof, so unclog drains like a pro. Add the mirror tip to find critter hideouts behind the fridge, or the magnetic tip so you can grab loose nuts and bolts that are impossible to reach. Get yours today.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program has been recognizing role model students and teachers since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Supporting Education. There, you can nominate students in kindergarten through 12th grade as academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible for the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
More Sports and Les Levine is now available on cleveland.com. To watch, type in cleveland.com/sports into your browser, then click on the More Sports and Les Levine icon, and the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason is available 24/7 from any computer. You can watch live from 6 to 7 Monday through Friday, or catch taped editions anytime on cleveland.com. Let's check out birthdays for today. Cal Ripken Sr. was born in this state. Leo Cardenas, shortstop. Ernie Kellerman, I just saw him maybe a month or so ago at Sokolowski's University Inn, where I did not have penny pasta to eat. Eddie Brown and Chase Utley, all born on the 17th of December. D-Man, Dennis Manoloff from cleveland.com and the Plain Dealer with us on Monday nights, and Bud Shaw tomorrow night. And we'll go with Hoynesy on Thursday. We'll fill in somebody on Wednesday night. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. So we'll go to Reynoldsburg, Ohio. D-Man, you're chomping at the bit to say something. We'll get that in a moment.
No, I'm excited.
You're excited. Let's go to Reynoldsburg for Mike. Hello, Mike.
Hello, gentlemen. How are we doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
What's up, Mike?
All right. Hey, I've got a question. I've heard this comment a lot that Kitchen and Williams should not be graded on this 5 or 6 games because this is kind of a the players are playing loose. They're playing with the house money. It's no big.
Yeah, there's a little gambling involved.
What's your comments on that? I'd like to know what your opinion is on that.
Mike, somewhere along the line, Gregg Williams gambled on that 4th down play, but I think it was that wasn't just because it was what the heck were the Browns and we're going to flash something here. I thought it was a legitimate call on his part. It didn't work, but that doesn't mean to say that it wasn't the right call. I like if you need 1 yard, and as Dennis pointed out, that really should have been not even a half a yard. But if you're that far away to put the game away, because there were no timeouts left, right, for Denver? D-Man?
I think they might have had one.
Maybe one.
Yeah.
Maybe one. I'll take my chances with that. And also, he said to the defense, I'm showing what I feel about my offense, and if it doesn't work, you got to help out here.
And, Mike, to your overarching point, I'm going to disagree with those who say that Williams and Kitchens are benefiting from this loosey-goosey stuff. No, they don't. That shouldn't detract from the job that Williams and Kitchens are doing. Because in my mind, this is a job interview for both guys.
Right.
And I'm not going to say they're acing it, because if they were acing it, they'd be 6-0 and they'd have beaten, the Chiefs and the Texans. But it's no worse than a B+, probably a solid A-. Yeah. I mean, you're seeing not only victories, but with that, the change of culture. You've rescued young guys from that dauber down, we're going to lose mentality. Now you have so much confidence in that building.
Didn't you feel when that 4th and 1 didn't work, didn't you still think they were going to hold on and win?
I did. At the time, I thought it was a good decision, and then I thought later, maybe not. Because he only had to do it. He probably could have took the 65-yard field goal in Denver. That's only getting the ball to the 50-yard line or something.
Yeah, that's a great point. But I think if you have one chance to virtually put the game away inside the 5-yard line,
and
I'll take my chance on the road.
Let's not forget to credit Williams for those blitz calls against the Broncos. It would have been easy, sit back, especially on 4th down, play the underneath. But no, they send Peppers. He does a great job.
I thought Peppers was faking it and getting to the line. They really got messed up on that timeout that was called. But who knew? That was probably the right play or it seemed like the right play at the time.
Well, at the time he wanted the timeout, so people say blame him for that. You can't blame him for that.
No.
He wanted the timeout, so
exactly.
He didn't know what was going to happen. I got a here come quickie for you.
Go ahead.
How come it took the Browns 2 years to win one game, but they won in 1 week? They've won 2 games.
Well, it's that Saturday night thing, right?
Right.
Hey, great to talk to you. If I don't talk to you before, have a great holiday.
You too. Bye-bye.
216-575-0403. Gregg Williams talks about the team after Saturday's win in Denver.
It was good to see them step into an atmosphere on a Saturday night game at Denver. It's always a pretty cool place to play. In my history, it's probably the warmest it's ever been in December that I've been up there in playoff games and all that kind of stuff too. But the guys played very well. A very hard-fought game, but a very good team game. And one of the things that we talked about in the team meeting was how all 3 phases complemented each other, and did a really good job of understanding that in order to win close games, you have to be a team. The other thing we talked about in there really quickly in the team meeting was we've had the opportunity to win a couple of games by multiple scores. We've had a couple of games we've lost by multiple scores. But we've had this opportunity the past 2 weeks to win by 1 score or less. And winning close games, again, comes down to doing it as a team. You win everything as a team, whether it's multiple everything, but it was a good emphasis for them to see of how everybody has to do their job, be on cue with everything, be on point with everything, and it was a really good meeting. So now we're in there doing all the corrections from the past game, and then we'll get a jump start on the Bengals today, and then most, if not all of them, will be back in here tomorrow, even on their day off. We have a procedure that those guys get ahead, and they do a great job on getting ahead before we ever come back in here on Wednesday.
All right, a couple of things. Did he have gray hair when he got the job as interim head coach? That's number one. Number two is he had a personality transplant. Is that the same guy that was on Hard Knocks?
Yeah, you and I were in a symbiotic relationship there. I was thinking the same thing. This is a head coach speaking to the media.
Last 5 games. Now, Williams has been there 6 games, but this is the 4-1 record in the last 5. And things pretty close, 23.8 points to 20.2, 370 yards per game to 360, yards passing 255 to 257. Can't get more even than that. So they've gone 4-1, and the stats are pretty much even.
Yeah, and the 2 losses under Williams and Kitchens, I mean, Kansas City and Houston, there's no shame in losing either one, especially Houston on the road, given the winning streak that they had. But there's a process in the NFL. We've seen it year over year, Les. You have to, when you're rebuilding, then you have to be competitive. Right. Then you have to start winning. You can't automatically expect to win every game or beat the best teams. You just need to pile up victories. And then you graduate to beating the good teams.
Right. I hear people say,
well, the Browns are so close.
I hear people say, well, they didn't beat anybody good. A win is a win in the NFL. It's tough. It is tough to win games in the NFL.
Absolutely. And you look, there's a fine line, as we've been told by many coaches, that between winning and losing. Look at the Jacksonville Jaguars, scrambling to try to win just any game. They were in the AFC Championship game last year.
Hard to believe.
All right. What do they have, 4 wins?
I mean,
they couldn't beat the Redskins in their building on Sunday. So, I mean, the Carolina Panthers rolling at 6-2. Now they're 6-7 going into tonight's game.
It is tough. And then injuries pile up all over the place. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Dennis Manoloff, cleveland.com, and the Plain Dealer. I'm Les Levine. We are on cleveland.com as well as Spectrum Sports for the time being. Let's take a break, and we'll come back in a moment. Northfield Park is your home for live and simulcast racing. Catch the excitement of live harness racing this week, Sunday through Wednesday, and Saturday and Sunday with the post time of 6 p.m. Northfield Park open early every day for simulcast action from the top thoroughbred and harness tracks all over the world. Free admission, free parking every day at Northfield Park. They will be closed on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. And we'll be back in a moment. More Sports and Les Levine continues right here.
Transform your ugly, damp basement with the beautiful Nature Stone floor. Authentic Nature Stone brand flooring is durable, unaffected by water, and inhibits the growth of mold and mildew. No other floor covering outperforms Nature Stone. For a limited time, when you buy more, you save more. Up to 30, 40, or even 50% off on a beautiful Nature Stone basement floor. That's right, save up to 50% on material and up to 50% on installation. Call or go to naturestone.com today. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
How come quickie? How come usually, D-Man, the most popular player for the fans is the backup quarterback, but in Cleveland it's the backup coach? Robert sent me a how come quickie. How come when Mickey is kissing Minnie, it's called mouse-to-mouse resuscitation? On a serious
I'll let
quickie
you
note,
have that one.
Yeah. On a serious how come quickie note, how come I would like the White Sox trade better if we sent them Santana and Alonso for Bobby Abreu? White Sox wouldn't have done it, would they?
Bobby Abreu. You mean Jose Abreu?
Jose Abreu.
Jose Abreu. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, the White Sox.
White Sox weren't going to pull that one.
The Indians know that the White Sox are coming. You know, they're coming. They're getting closer and closer. I'll be fascinated to see how much money that group decides to spend heading into next year.
Better do it quick. Better do it quick. Well, the guy making the decision for the Cleveland Browns coaching decision, of course, is John Dorsey. Gregg Williams talked about his relationship with the general manager of the Cleveland Browns.
He and I meet and talk every day. You know, we've done that from really since he got in here last year. You know, he was, you know, he searched me out right when he got here last year. and because he and I go so far back in the league, so in helping him transition into last year, you know, that was, I was a voice in the room, and like I've told you guys, nobody's asked me, you know, for the pictures I have on him, and so you know, and so I mean, he just wants to make sure I don't post those pictures. So we have that conversation every day. No, I'm just kidding you. But yeah, there's times of every day we do it, and it's good that, you know, he understands so much about the actual instincts of playing the game, and the instincts of calling the game, and the instincts of, you know, motivating people. So yeah, we're good with that.
Along those lines, do you think that's the thing that you've done best here in your time as interim, is motivating these guys? I mean, what is your fingerprint on this team that's made them?
I believe all good players, you know, want to be taught or coached, motivated and inspired. Everybody does. But then when the motivation and inspiring thing becomes way too primary, it's once again, why are you here? It's our job to get everybody on the same page, treat everybody the same way, hold everybody accountable, and it starts with me first. I have to be the same accountable, say what I mean what I say, and, you know, first one here, last one to leave. You know, I learned this a long time ago too, is that, you know, being on time tells everybody exactly right. You know, when people aren't on time, maybe it's because only two things I tell these guys. Either it's not important to you, or you think you're better than everybody else. That don't work in this league. It doesn't work. So that's why I'm the first one in the meeting room. Nobody's waiting on me, and we got to get ready to roll.
You know what he's doing? He's doing, some PR guy must have gotten to him, or he's smart enough to be his own PR guy, because he has put John Dorsey in a position that'll be tough for the general manager to make. I mean, he's going to walk. Let's assume they beat Cincinnati and even lose to Denver, to
still
Baltimore.
5-3.
Still 5-3. He walks into Dorsey's office and said, "Okay, here I am."
Well, unless you listen to that sound, absent the "I got pictures on him" joke, there's a lot to be digested there. Specifically, you know, that he goes way back with Dorsey, and they're both the, quote, football guys.
Right.
So I ask you this.
Even though he wasn't hired as D coordinator by Dorsey.
Sure. But we may be underestimating what he just, you know, spoke to,
Yep.
and that is their deep ties and their the fact that they are simpatico in a lot of ways.
And he's reminding people out there of that, which makes it even tougher for Dorsey.
Correct. So I ask you this. You know, maybe we have underestimated the Williams-Dorsey connection, but also the fact that Dorsey may all along like what he's seeing from Gregg Williams.
Maybe.
We may be projecting, he's automatically going to go outside the building. Well, maybe he really likes Williams.
Well, it's hard not to like what he's done. You know, but there's a lot of years between the time he was head coach for Buffalo and this particular situation.
This is where there's a multi-level calculation that Dorsey's got to make. Let's say he really does like Williams. Presumably, players are going to have input, or they're going to at least reach out to Dorsey and say, "Hey, we like this guy as a head coach." Okay, he's got to weigh that and the results of this year under Williams and Kitchens against, do I see him 2, 3, 4 years down the road
that's exactly what he has to
having Super Bowl caliber success or AFC Championship game success.
And he's got to wonder why Williams hasn't been hired as a head coach since that Buffalo opportunity.
Yeah, because I mean, I will listen to those who say, "Hey, Gregg Williams at this point is teasing you." All right?
Yep.
He's giving you a great little half season here, but if you think he's going to be your guy 2, 3, 4 years down the road, you're mistaken. How do we know this? Well, based on his past or based on what he did the last time he was head coach. But I like what I'm seeing from Gregg Williams, and I think that Dorsey, being a former player, recognizing the comfort that the players have with him, it's going to make it that much more difficult to say no.
Don't you get the sense that Dorsey gave in when he came here to let Jimmy Haslam keep Hugh Jackson here? Don't you get that sense?
That's the other part of it. John Dorsey finally has the opportunity to get his guy. Do you really think he's going to settle for a guy who he inherited, who was in the building already? The difference, though, is that Gregg Williams has actually produced.
Absolutely.
I mean, the easy case would have been no wins or 2 wins.
Right.
Okay, clearly they're playing out the string. The players aren't really developing.
Thank you for keeping everybody intact here.
Thanks for your time, Greg.
Yeah.
Now we move on.
Yeah.
I'll tell you another thing that helps Gregg Williams and Freddie Kitchens. the clown show that was Hugh Jackson, when you're stacked against that, you look that much better.
Yes, but you don't want to be just better than that guy. You want the best out there, and that's the opportunity, and that's the problem that Dorsey has. Does he take something that's better than what he had, or does he go and get the guy that he thinks is the best that's out there?
That's true. And so far, John Dorsey has been nothing but borderline spectacular as general manager of the Browns.
Don't you have to?
So you have to trust him.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever decision he makes, whether he says outside the building or keep Williams, I'm riding with it because of the credibility that John Dorsey has.
But you know, if he makes a choice of somebody other than Williams, the first game that that guy loses, you know the story, right?
Yeah, right. But I also think that if there has to be some rapport between Mayfield and that guy.
You can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/More Sports Les Levine, with new content posted each and every day. We'll continue in a moment. The D-Man, Dennis Manoloff, cleveland.com, and the Plain Dealer. We're with cleveland.com also. More Sports and Les Levine continues in a moment.
Smile.
No matter how well you provide for your family today, if you don't have life insurance, their future may be at risk. Why not help guarantee those you love $250,000 or more with life insurance through AIG Direct? Less than $14 a month buys a 40-year-old man a $250,000 term life policy. That's up to 3 times what you can get from other companies for the same price. Make the future more secure for those you love.
Call 1-800-723-9758.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
here, let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant. Whatever it takes.
It takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling to bring the heat when things get chilly. Find us at 440-449-HEAT.
Let's take a look at this date in sports history. The 17th of December, 1995, D-Man. After losing 6 in a row, the Browns beat the Bengals 26-10. Final game at Municipal Stadium. The Browns moved to Baltimore, and when they got there, first thing Art Modell did was fire Bill Belichick. How about historically that Art Modell fired Bill Belichick and Paul Brown?
Yeah. People forget that. They think that Belichick, well, first of all, they think the media fired Belichick.
The media got him, and then the fans next.
And then they think that he voluntarily quit. Yeah. I happened to be on the field or down on the field at the end of that game, at the end of the Bengals game, with chairs flying on, and it was a surreal experience.
First personal seat licensing. They took their own seats. Yeah. I was on the bench, near the bench with Brian Sipe. Wow. I mean, you hate to have that happen, but it was great to have him there. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Bill, who's in North Olmsted. Bill, good evening.
Hi, guys.
What's up, Bill?
Hi, Bill.
I agreed with Dennis last year when he thought the Tigers would be the main opponents. I totally agree this year that the White Sox, who I fear are going to wind up signing Brantley, and they will be a hard team to contend with. I really think they're going to be much better than people think they're going to be.
Well, if they get Brantley and if they get Brantley and Machado, that's pretty good additions to that team.
Well, they have a good bullpen, and I still think that is by far our biggest problem.
Right.
Getting that bullpen.
We're going to show you the Indians' potential, well, not lineups, but the positions, and it's somewhat horrifying.
somewhat horrifying. I don't know that somewhat can
no, it's either horrifying or it's not. Yeah, that's a good
describe
point.
Horrifying.
Yeah. What's that, Bill?
One of the trades I disagreed with was giving away Eric Gonzalez, because I'm telling you, Ramirez and Lindor better be ready to play about 158 games and not get hurt, because we are really desperate in the infield if something happens to those guys, especially now that we got rid of Diaz, and I don't know that that's been a good trade. But I've never liked, as you know, I've never liked Encarnacion.
Bill, hang on the line and watch what we're going to show. We're going to show first the outfielders, or the infielders rather, after the trades that were made. The Indians now have these guys in the infielders and the catchers. So we're looking at Jake Bauers. We're looking at Max Manoloff. Who ever heard of him? Carlos Santana, Eric Stamets, who played a little bit last year, Francisco Lindor, Jose Ramirez, Jason Kipnis, Andrew Monasterio, who they just got today in the Yan Gomes trade, and Eric Haase and Roberto Perez are the catchers. That's somewhat horrifying, isn't it?
It is. In fact, you did a funny last week when you had Anthony Lima on, I think.
Yeah.
And you had the how come quickie about left-handed hitters and right-handed hitters. And the name Pete Gray came up, which he had never heard of Pete Gray. But do you know Pete Gray out-hit Roberto Perez by 50 points in the 1 year he played versus what?
Easy, Bill. Easy, Bill.
All right, let's even get more horrified. Let's look at the outfielders that are currently on the roster. Ouch.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot worse than the infielders, because at least the infielders have Ramirez and Lindor.
All right, Greg Allen and Leonis Martin will rotate.
Platoon and center.
Trace Thompson is Clay Thompson's brother, so he's got that going for him in case a pickup basketball game breaks out. Jordan Luplow, whose great uncle Al Luplow played for the Tribe. Tyler Naquin, who dropped a fly ball in the World Series, and Bradley Zimmer, who has the shoulder and won't be ready till probably the All-Star break. That is not inducing any fear in anybody's mind, except me as a fan. It's inducing fear to me.
It should be a very interesting spring training. In fact, I'll have to make sure I give you a couple calls when I'm out there, because there'll be a lot of new faces. And one guy I think that we're giving up on too soon is Kipnis. We've gotten rid of an awful lot of good chemistry guys with our team, and I just think Kipnis is going to be a solid guy in the locker room. He's going to give you his best effort. We're going to be paying him $14 million, and he's untradeable anyhow. I really think that he's going to come through doing it.
All right, Bill. Thanks for joining in. Have a great holiday. If I don't talk to you before, 216-575-0403 is the number to call. I've seen Bill and his grandson at Sokolowski's University Inn. Great place. There's nothing better. 11 to 3 Monday through Friday, Friday and Saturday nights for dinner. Dan Coughlin was there Wednesday signing book copies. You got one of his books, right?
Got two of them on here.
You got two of them? Two out of 4?
Most recent, Just One More Story.
Yeah. I'm in one of them. Not that one.
I've been sifting through trying to find chapters on you. I know there's one.
All right, Sokolowski's University Inn, the winner of the James Beard Foundation Award. What more needs to be said about that? One of the top 5 restaurants in the country, and they got voted that just 2 years ago. And maybe 3 years ago, and nothing better. I believe, to my knowledge, it's the only restaurant in Cleveland that's ever won that award. Let's take a break. We'll come on back. We're on D-Man, cleveland.com, and the Plain Dealer. We're on cleveland.com and Spectrum Sports.
Transform your ugly, damp basement with the beautiful Nature Stone floor. Authentic Nature Stone brand flooring is durable, unaffected by water, and inhibits the growth of mold and mildew. No other floor covering outperforms Nature Stone. For a limited time, when you buy more, you save more. Up to 30, 40, or even 50% off on a beautiful Nature Stone basement floor. That's right, save up to 50% on material and up to 50% on installation. Call or go to naturestone.com today. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
There is a place where dreams arise. Stars are born. And greatness is made. What you live for lives here. Spectrum Sports.
More Sports and Les Levine is now available on cleveland.com. To watch, type in cleveland.com/sports into your browser, then click on the More Sports and Les Levine icon, and the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason is available 24/7 from any computer. You can watch live from 6 to 7 Monday through Friday, or catch taped editions anytime on cleveland.com. All right, this date in Les Levine history, let's check it out. December 17th, back in 1960, Chavez Levine, the home of wiffle ball and touch football on Wilmington Road in South Euclid, was torn down because the regular players grew too big to play there. Art Modell liked the idea of tearing down a stadium. He didn't oversee it, but he didn't disagree with it. 216-575-0403. Jim from Columbia Station sends in an email, which is kind of interesting, and tell me how you feel about it. I find it hard to believe that Baker Mayfield would go out of his way to talk to Dorsey about keeping Freddie Kitchens as offensive coordinator. I also find it hard to believe Dorsey would seek Mayfield's advice on that as well. Dorsey can see with his own two eyes that it's working well right now. He will make the decision, and not because of what Mayfield thinks. If he makes a choice because of what the players think instead of what he thinks, he should be fired.
Disagree with most of that.
Me too.
Except at the end. I agree. He shouldn't rely totally on player input. But as one facet of it,
especially when it's your number one guy that you took.
It's your franchise QB.
Yeah.
If Baker Mayfield says, "Hey, I just want to put in a good word for Freddie Kitchens," there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
Dorsey puts that in the file as he sorts through.
And he's not saying take him or else. And I don't know what the or else would be.
But I absolutely want the feedback of my franchise quarterback where Freddie Kitchens is involved.
Let's go to Tiffin, Ohio for the Cajun Man. Hello, Cajun Man.
How you doing? Happy holidays.
Same to you.
Cajun Man.
I have been waiting to ask D-Man. It makes no sense. I have talked to many Cleveland Indian fans, and we cannot understand what the Indians gained by dumping Jan Gomes.
All right, the trade of Jan Gomes. He doesn't understand why they did that.
What's the reasoning behind it?
Well, it has to be a salary dump. I mean, I can't believe that you think that if you're the Indians, that you think Roberto Perez is going to suddenly, now that he's given the reins, become an all-star catcher. So I have to believe it's offloading money. That is the move that I've questioned the most about what the Indians, where they've gone here with.
And also, D-Man, don't you have to look at the totality of it all when it's all said and done? Not measuring trade by trade, but when it's all lumped together, then you look at it.
And therein lies what I wanted to say coming out of the break, and that because we had kind of dumped on the Indians looking at the graphics of what they have. It's an incomplete picture. We're not done yet. No. I think the Indians did what they felt they needed to do to create some flexibility, save some money. There's still time, and I think they will add a major league caliber piece, even if it's free agency, that isn't too expensive, but is not a bargain basement, but a solid player.
What it looks like right now is they saved $7 or $8 million.
Okay.
Yeah, and they let's say they swapped out Diaz for Bowers. They think they can resurrect Bowers or continue him to be good, whereas Tampa thinks they can do it with Diaz.
Right.
I guess you think that Roberto Perez can handle it over Gomes. You got Santana back. Alonso they don't see as a great loss. But we're not done yet. That's the key. And Chernoff and Antonetti are smart people. I still think they're moves ahead.
KJ, man, thanks for the call.
Are they hoping that the guy they brought up from Columbus as catcher is going to be a factor?
I mean, I would assume that they are putting stock in him as their backup.
And they're looking.
Yeah.
Thank you for the call. Appreciate it very much. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. The Cavaliers brought back Matthew Dellavedova. I got a phone call or a text from a radio station in Australia wanted me to talk about Delhi. But Larry Drew, who can speak more authoritatively, is that the word?
Yes, sir.
With much more authority than I, had this to say about the impact of Matthew Dellavedova.
I think the thing that he really does or brings to this team is he's a timely passer. You know, he makes the extra pass. In transition, he recognizes when to throw it ahead early versus when to bring it up on the dribble. You know, in our offense, you know, the ball never sticks with him. You know, if it's not there, you know, he's got it out of his hand. Coming off of a pick and roll, certainly I want him to explore, and the ball is going to be in his hand a lot more. But he's doing a great job of you know, finding people, making passes, and you know, I haven't looked at the numbers as well, but I would think that our assist totals have gone up since he's been here, because he is you know, he's not just a terrific passer, but he's a willing passer.
Here's Delhi since joining the Cavs, 4 games, scoring 12.3 points a game, 4.8 assists, 55% from the field, and 53% three-point field goals. And that's what you get with Matthew Dellavedova.
Could have added to that graphic times that he nearly took out Fred McLeod, 1. Thank goodness that Freddie Mac was okay out of that, because he goes down and it looked bad at the end there. It looked like he got whiplashed or something.
Yeah,
but
you don't want an injury report on the play-by-play announcer. No question about that.
Delhi's been a nice piece to add.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. Dennis Manoloff, the Plain Dealer, and cleveland.com. Bud Shaw joins us tomorrow night. Not sure about Wednesday, but I do know that Hoynesy will be here. Paul Hoynes of cleveland.com and the Plain Dealer. That will be Thursday night. Northfield Park is your home for live and simulcast racing, and right now you can enjoy the excitement of live harness racing this week, Sunday through Wednesday, as well as Saturday. Post time 6 p.m. Northfield Park open early every day for simulcast action from the top thoroughbred and harness tracks all around the world. Free admission, free parking every day at Northfield Park, although they will be closed on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Dennis Manoloff and I return in a moment on right here, of course, on cleveland.com.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program has been recognizing role model students and teachers since 2007. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Supporting Education. There, you can nominate students in kindergarten through 12th grade as academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as the Teacher of the Month. Every school that participates is eligible for the School of the Year. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
I had bad credit, so I wasn't able to get a bank account or a credit card.
My life is so busy, I don't have time to be standing in line to cash a check.
That's why we created the NetsBand Prepaid MasterCard. It puts you in control of managing your money.
I can get my money up to 2 days earlier than everybody else. I don't have to wait till the end of the week to get paid.
Order now at no cost and get paid up to 2 days faster.
Call 1-800-644-0772.
Call now and you can choose your card design.
Tomorrow night, Bud Shaw, WKYC.com will join us. You see us Monday through Friday from 6 until Friday, actually. We have our own shows coming up on Fridays, but this show is from Monday to Thursday, 6 to 7. Then you can play it all day and all night long. You miss it? Hey, next 23 hours, you can follow up and watch it again. You can also follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/ More Sports and Les Levine with new content posted each and every day. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, I mean, because we are on cleveland.com, worldwide audience, those who read cleveland.com know tremendous job by Mary Kay Cabot and Dan Lobby covering the Browns for both .com and the Plain Dealer. But also, we get special contributors along the way, and I want to say Jake Burns does a fantastic job in what's called the film room. He breaks down each week some of Baker Mayfield's plays. He did a piece today that has to be mentioned to me. It's the 2-yard touchdown.
Right.
And he goes into how Mayfield changed the play. And what he's
at the line?
Yeah, well, before the line. He was diagnosing and changing. And the thing that was great about it is Jake saw this virtually as it was happening because he has a quarterback's mind.
Right.
And he tweeted about it with an explanation. And then he went into further detail on cleveland.com/Browns today. It's a fascinating read. I urge everybody, anybody who loves the Browns and loves Mayfield, because it illustrates yet again how Mayfield is thinking ahead.
Right.
He didn't just settle for what was called. He saw what the Broncos were going to try to do. He didn't like what was called necessarily. He shifted the pieces around, specifically Duke Johnson from his right to his left, had Johnson run a flare out to get a safety out of the window so he could throw a slant route. But Jake Burns spells it out today, and it is incredible the amount that went into that play, but also Jake's analysis.
Did they also show Gregg Williams' post-game speech to his team in the locker room? You can check that out.
Okay. Yeah. I'm sure it's somewhere. If Mary Kay and Dan probably talked about it.
Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Chuck, who's in Solon, Ohio. Hello, Chuck.
Hi, guys. Commenting on what you just said, Williams today said that Baker has a great mind as a quarterback, and he also said Schobert on defense is comparable to him on defense. He says a lot of people don't realize all the work that goes into Schobert since he's the quarterback of the defense. And
You're
he was praising him mightily.
You're right, Chuck. There's no question.
You were looking at those names of the team members, Les, the two of you, a few minutes ago. Here's 3 numbers just to consider. Just 3 numbers. Encarnacion hit 32 home runs. Alonso hit 23. That's 55. Gomes hit 15. That's 70 home runs. And among the 3 of them, they contributed 107 and 84 and about 225 RBIs. Now we're getting one tested veteran, and that's Santana. And he's a 3-month player. None of the minor leaguers that we received in these deals has a stellar record in the minor leagues. None of these guys have big numbers. That Bowers, he hit, 211 last year? He hit 11 home runs, but he hit 211.
Chuck, you didn't mention Brantley, did you? Either.
Right? Oh, no, I didn't mention Brantley.
Well,
but I mean,
another
guy they're going to have to
throw that in, too.
Yeah.
Well, so they had 70 home runs. He hit, 15 last year? 16? So that's 85. 85 and about... So you're talking 85 home runs and almost 300 RBIs. They let go for literally nothing.
Well, not literally nothing. They do get, as you suggest, Santana's numbers in there. But that only takes up about 25% of what they lose.
But I also already saw in Plain Dealer last week people calling for the Dolans to sell again when they started on these 2 weeks.
Let's be realistic about the Dolans. They have, number one, they've been the best ownership that we've had with a sports franchise in how many years?
I mean, obviously Gilbert would say his Cavs with
Cavs
LeBron.
But I understand that.
No, the idea that, look, they're not going to deficit spend to that extent. They're just not. And, I mean, I'm not saying I don't blame them, but you could see why they're doing it, why they're trying to cut some payroll and try. But here's the thing, though, Chuck. They're still the 3-time defending champion of the division. All right? So they're not in the bottom of the division while they're doing this stuff.
Well, I understand that, but
I mean, don't you think that for 30 years that Kansas City was a tremendous organization? And look what they've done in the last. They finally won a couple of years ago, but they've been horrible. You go from the George Brett years to these years, That's 25, 30 years.
Fantastic point Les just made. I think the Indians are trying to avoid that, knowing that they don't have the limitless dollars, the limitless payroll. They're trying to stay competitive in their division, win it, but also when the downtime comes, they don't crater.
Right.
That's what they're trying to avoid. I'm not saying it's all going to work out. I'm just saying that's what their mindset is. And I also say to the critics, they still have time to add pieces.
Right.
We're not to spring.
The Cleveland Indians are never going to have a lineup or a roster that will challenge Houston, Boston, or New York. They've got to subscribe to that theory of just get me to the postseason, and hopefully your pitching comes through, and they do have the pitchers who can do it. All this stuff about Kluber being terrible in the postseason, that's a very small sample size.
Well, what about the nightmare that we're facing in 2 more years with our third baseman and shortstop?
They're not going to get players like that, and they just have to fill it some other way.
All right, I'm just saying
are they going to write a $300 million check or obligation to Lindor? How can you do that if you're the Cleveland Indians?
Of course not. They can't.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chuck.
All right,
I'm
Chuck,
just saying thank you.
Great to talk to you.
He makes a solid point. I mean, you're not trying to put lipstick on a pig so far because it doesn't look great for the Indians.
They're also not done, as you said.
But remember and the other thing, too, we've always said, pitching. Right now, the Indians have not only good starting pitching, very good starting pitching, and they have depth at that role, at that position.
Which is why they can even consider trading some
Exactly. So it's not like the cupboard is bare, but I do understand where Tribe fans are a little bit anxious when they see, as Chuck pointed out, all those homers, all those ribbies leaving the building, not too many people coming in with them, to help it out.
Not at this point. But, again, it'll be more fair to lump them all together and see what they did. Right now it doesn't look good, I can tell you that. All right, that'll do it for us. Great job by the D-man, Dennis Manoloff, cleveland.com and the Plain Dealer.
A lot of pressure on the simulcast, but it was a lot of fun, and hopefully we'll get feedback from Australia and all over the world.
Yeah, I got the call from Australia. That was interesting. All right, that'll do it for us. We'll be back tomorrow night on cleveland.com as well as Spectrum Sports. That'll be right here from 6 until 7, and it'll be Bud Shaw. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.